All right. Greetings, Toastmasters, guests, and our visual audience. Now, when you hear of the word pain, what comes to your mind? I'd like for you guys to give me some examples of pain. Broken foot, excellent pain. Not excellent pain, but an excellent illustration. Another one. What was that, Jim?
Headache.
Headache? Yep.
Toothache.
Toothache? All physical. How about emotional pains? Kathy? Yeah, broken relationships. But of all those pains, one stands out to me, and I call it a crazy pain. Now, why do we call it a crazy pain? Because there's some pains that over time, you just don't seem to shake off, especially if they reoccur in your own life. And that's what I want to talk about today, was a crazy pain. And I want to use a familiar illustration. Now, who in this room knows what this is? All right. Now, if there isn't anybody who doesn't know, what this is, I mean, that's crazy if you didn't know what this is. So we all know what stands on the end of one of these. At the end of a fishing reel is a what? A hook. And even by closing our eyes, we can visualize what a hook looks like. A hook is pretty jagged, it's pretty rugged, it's sharp. And so I want you to remember that, because this little friend of ours is going to come into play as I talk about this crazy pain. Now, some of you are thinking, oh man, he's going to tell about a story in which he was fishing and he snagged himself in the neck or the ear or the eye with a hook. But no, that's far from what we're going to be talking about. So now I want to take you back a few years ago to the summer of 1993. Now, during this summer was the month of June. In June, at our house, used to be my birthday, my daughter's birthday, my wife's birthday, and Father's Day. So it was Christmas during June. Well, this particular weekend, my lovely bride had taken my daughters to go down to the beach to stay with her family to visit. And we lived in Vancouver, Washington. So I thought, you know, I want to go out and hang out with my uncle. I have an uncle who resembles a character from the movie Easy Rider. So during that time, he had a boat. And he says to me, hey, you want to go out and do some inner tubing? I love to inner tube behind the boat. So we went out on the Columbia River to do some inner tubing, to hang out, to fool around. And we were out there a few hours until it got dark, and we were inner tubing in the dark with the boats and coming around and going over the waves. It was fantastic. It started getting a little bit late, and he says, hey, I'm gonna end up the day, you know, having to go to work, so why don't I just take you home? I said, that'd be great. So he takes me home, and it's only about 8 o'clock at night. Well, 8 o'clock at night, I'm walking from the kitchen in our modest ranch-style home into the living room, and all of a sudden, I drop immediately to my knees, and I'm rolling on the ground, writhing in pain. I think I'm going to die. I feel like someone is taking a knife and stabbing it in the side of my ribs and just twisting it. And I'm thinking, what in the world is going on? And I couldn't stand up. So I ended up crawling on my hands and knees across the street to the neighbors. And I have a neighbor he resembles a kind of a Cleaver character, real quiet guy, pretty mellow guy, and I'm banging on this door. This is about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And he answers the door, and I'm sitting there begging, will you please take me to the hospital? And he doesn't know what to think, because he's thinking, man, this neighbor of mine, he's kind of a crazy guy. So we never had a real tight relationship. But he says, I'll take you to the hospital. So he drives me to the hospital, and on the way there, I'm saying, will you please tell my wife when she comes back that I love her? Because I don't think I'm going to get a chance to tell her myself. I think this is the end. So he pulls up into the emergency room exit. At the time, it was the St. Joseph's Hospital, which is the West Medical Center. Now it's Peace Health. Who knows what it is now? But anyway, it was St. Joe's. We pulled up to St. Joe's, and I rolled out of the door, the passenger door, and the last thing I see is him taking off. He didn't want to take the chance of me dying and him being blamed for the crime out of fear. So he's gone, and I'm sniffing in his fumes as I'm sitting on the ground, rolled up into a ball, screaming in pain. Some candy stripers, which I hear today they don't have anymore, but they were the volunteers of the hospital, came out, grabbed me, pulled me into the office, asking me my name. I didn't even know my name at the time. I'm screaming. I don't know what's going on. I'm dying here. And so they usher me into a room, and as the doctors and nurses are floating around trying to figure out what is going on? What's the diagnosis we're going to give him here? One nurse is walking by, and she's carrying by, and she sticks her head in, and she says, I recognize that pain. That's the pain of a man having a kidney stone. So immediately, it was a kidney stone. And so this nurse steps in and she says, you know, son, I've had both kidney stones and I've had both babies. And I would rather give birth than have a kidney stone. That was real encouraging to me. Then it turns out she's also a comedian. She says to me, what do you call a man who is having kidney stones? Or what do you call a man who is struggling with kidney stones? I've butchered this to death. She says, you're in trouble. And I didn't know what a kidney stone was. So I was sitting there thinking, well, how am I going to deal with this? So she leaves the room, and I knew right away I was doomed. So the doctor comes in and says, we diagnosed you with kidney stones. You didn't diagnose me with anything. She did. So he comes in and says, we're going to give you a shot of morphine. I thought, morphine? I haven't had morphine for a number of years, and if I remember right, it was real helpful during the pain. So he gave me the shot of morphine, and I went from feeling the pain of the kidney stone to remembering the fact that I get sick when I have morphine, and I painted the walls of this hospital room with our latest meal. Now, kidney stones are interesting because they come in a variety of sizes. You have the small stones, which pass pretty quickly. Then you have the large stones. My particular stone was called a jack stone. This is what a jack stone looks like. And this was the actual stone I passed. No, I'm kidding. This was Paul Bunyan's stone when he passed it. They're nowhere near this size. For our visual audience, good luck passing one of those. I'll pass that around because this is very appetizing to look at. So a kidney stone comes with calcium, and it's a calcium buildup. So when the calcium doesn't go into your bones or into your muscles, it builds up into your kidneys, and along with other impurities, it forms a little stone. The only way for that stone to pass is through your urinary tract. So you have to pass it. So each time you go to the bathroom, it rolls and eventually works its way, well, it works its way out, you know where. So I figured, okay, I've got this stone. I've got to pass this stone. Well, the rest of the night was blurry. And I knew that 3 weeks later I had to pass this stone. And I had to strain my urine through that time. And I thought, you know, what would be a great illustration of what it's like to pass a stone? So I want to tell you why I brought this fishing pole in today. Passing a kidney stone is the equivalent of urinating out a fish hook through your faucet. And for you men, you know what that means. So having a fish hook pulled out through your faucet is the visual I want to leave you with today in passing a kidney stone. Mr. Toastmaster.